G'day everyone and welcome to the DUC Migrating to Australia podcast. My name's Wes Zandt and today I'm joined with, or joined by, or with I should say, I'm not sure how to say that, Harriet, but welcome. Harriet Taylor's joining us from WA. So Harriet, firstly, welcome.
Thanks, Wes. Good morning.
So we've got a lot to talk about in this podcast because your partner Adam is a lift mechanic, which has always been one of the most challenging occupations to migrate due to obviously the licensing side, as well as which occupation do you put them under. So we'll come to that in a little bit. But yeah, you're in Perth. You're also you're a business mentor and coach, and you've also written a book as well. Tell us a little about your book.
Yeah, thank you. So since moving to Australia, I have kind of pursued my passion of business mentoring. Adam and I ran a lift maintenance repair company in the UK that we grew, scaled over about sort of 8 or 9 years actually. And then we sold prior to moving to Australia. So the business mentoring was the natural next step for me to help other small business owners to kind of gain the clarity in their journey that they're often looking for and to help them scale their businesses. And the book was a way for me to kind of reach more people and tell our story. So the book is called Leap: Confidence, Clarity and Courage to Grow Your Business on Your Terms. But it's quite heavily story based. So you follow mine and Adam's journey of kind of growing and scaling the company in the UK, that first trip to Perth that we took when we decided that we wanted to move here. And then obviously our transition from selling the company to moving to Australia, our travels, and then settling down here. So yeah, I'm super excited to have released it a couple of weeks ago now. And yeah, touch wood, it's all going well. Thank you.
And we may as well plug it while we're at it, Harriet. Where can people find this book?
On Amazon. So
Excellent.
It's available in ebook and paperback.
Yeah.
Both in the UK and Australia.
There you go. We sneak a little plug in for you for making this this
Thank
time.
you.
So it's pretty early for you in WA. It's this has been recorded on the 16th of June, 2026, and was it 9:30 a.m. your time?
Yes, yeah. The kids have just gone off to school, so the house is nice and quiet.
All right. And how many kids do you have?
We have two. So Winnie is age 7 and Harry is age 5. And we have another one on the way, due middle of July.
Cool. Do you know boy or girl?
No, this one's a surprise.
Ah. Were the other did you know the sex of the other two prior?
Yes, yeah, we did with the other two. So we figured like third time around we'll leave it as a surprise.
Okay. So and how old was Winnie?
7.
So and how old's Harry?
5.
There you go. So let's talk about the journey because you guys firstly arrived in. It's nice to talk about the visa side first, and then we'll come into a little bit about how we get there. So, just the listeners out there, you guys arrived on a 482 visa. Is that correct?
We actually perhaps did it a bit unconventionally. We came in on a tourist visa and we lodged our 482 visa onshore. So we had everything prepped, ready to go. But we decided that we wanted to come out on a tourist visa and then lodge while we were here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for the listeners, what was the benefit for you as a family to do that?
We had set ourselves, we'd set our sights on travelling. So when we first arrived in Australia, we flew into Sydney and we picked up a caravan that we'd ordered from Newcastle, and we lived in that for 5 months. So we travelled down and around the coast from New South Wales, picked up our dog from quarantine in Melbourne along the way, and then we made it to Perth. So we always knew we were going to do that holiday side of things, and we didn't want any delays with kind of applications being approved and stuff. So we just figured, well, we'll come out on the tourist visa, we'll lodge the 482, and because we'd penciled in that travelling time, we'd got that window as a buffer really to be able to allow that processing time.
Okay. Now, Adam, so as a lift mechanic, he was the main applicant for the 482. Was it already set up with the employment side, or did you come to Australia looking for an employer?
So Adam already had a job lined up. We actually visited Perth in October 2023, and just for a holiday really, to see if it was something that we wanted to explore further. And during that time, he had a couple of conversations with potential employers. And yeah, he later got back in touch with one of them who kindly offered him a sponsorship. So we had it all lined up, ready to go
Yeah.
before we left the UK.
Okay, so application ready. You just come in on a tourist visa, apply when you're on shore, in knowing that you're going to spend a few months traveling.
Yes.
I remember Adam actually talking to me about it because I think he called me about the caravan side of it by
Did
memory.
he?
Yeah, yeah, he did actually. And then yeah, he was sort of asking a few little spots and all that. And yeah, I think he asked. I think it was. I think he asked me an odd question actually, Harriet. I think he asked me about storing the caravan because I think you guys bought it prior. You bought the caravan outright. That's correct.
Yeah, so we ordered it in the UK along with our car, because we wanted everything sort of ready to kind of collect when we got here. So yeah, bless him. Adam did such a good job of juggling timelines and getting everything kind of lined up ready for when we got here.
There you go. Yeah, I did remember him calling me now. That's how much we prepare these podcasts, to be honest, Harriet. We just sort of like jump on and have a chat. But yes, I remember speaking with him. So and how long did the 482 visa take to get granted?
So we lodged it in, I think it was the second week in November, and it came through in February.
Wow. That's really quick.
Yeah, Adam started work then pretty much straight after it came through. Like I said, it was all lined up, ready to go. Uh, so yeah, and then it was full steam ahead really into work. We were still living in the caravan while he started work because obviously buying a house takes a little bit of time. So, and we couldn't purchase the house until we'd got the 482 visa. Yeah, we were balancing living in the caravan with the kids and the dog and doing the school runs and work, before we got the keys to the house. But it was great. We look back on it fondly.
And you mentioned you came from, you arrived in Sydney to pick up the caravan and the car, and you got pick up the puppy from, or the how old's the dog?
He was 10 when we picked him up.
Okay, wow, quite old, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. We oh, it's a bit of a sad twist of the podcast, but we lost him.
Oh,
Yeah, about 6 months ago. He was old. He was fine in good health when we shipped him over, and he had a great time traveling with us in the caravan with kids. He's a German Shepherd, and he just loves the beach and the ocean. Yeah, but unfortunately, he passed away about 6 months ago.
so sorry to hear. It is a dog friendly country though, isn't it? Really,
Yeah,
when you're traveling, and so you leave Melbourne. So was it direct from Sydney to Melbourne? I'm just trying to get a gauge of which way which way you went back to WA. Did you go through like South Australia, like through the Eyre Peninsula and everything, or did you go more inland?
yeah. So we followed the coast around pretty much. We went down from New South Wales. Followed the coast around, got to Melbourne. Um, Obviously, went through Victoria. We went through Adelaide, South Australia, and then the only bit that we missed out really. So we got as far as Albany. So went through Esperance down to Albany. We spent Christmas Day in Albany, and can you believe it? Coming from the UK to avoid all of it, it rained.
No. I was going to actually ask that. Where did you spend Christmas? But Albany is a bit like that, isn't it? It's quite a
Yeah,
windy little area.
it's
How good is
beautiful, but
how good's Esperance?
oh, amazing. Yeah, stunning.
That's where like the postcodes and all that are from. Well, I remember doing all the the Down to Live expos, and they'd always ask, "What's your favorite place?" And I'd be like, "I just think Esperance is just gorgeous. Like it's got like the sand squeaks when you walk on it." Did you go? Did you
Yeah.
climb like Frenchman's Peak and all that? I'm sure you would have went to the what's it called now? When you can park, like all the areas where you can sort of like park up on the beach and do all of that sort of stuff. Did you go there, like Frenchman's Peak? I'm trying to think of the names now.
Yeah, we did do a bit of like we did take the car on the beach a couple of times. Obviously, we were restricted somewhat in some places with the dog because the dogs not aren't allowed in like national parks and stuff, and some beaches don't permit them. But yeah, it was stunning. And to be honest, I really loved South Australia. Um, but it's just the weather for us, really. Like WA just gives that weather, like that constant good weather.
What's
Um,
it now? Nine. Oh, now it's 9:45 on a lovely winter Tuesday morning. What weather have you got there now?
it's saying that today it's going to be About 16 degrees. So it was chilly to start with this morning, but we've got blue skies, it's sunny, it's warming up.
Yep. It's a different
Yeah.
sort of temperature though, isn't it? 16 doesn't sound warm in any way, but compared to Melbourne, it's a little bit warmer, but it doesn't seem like that dull grey sort of winter that you get for so long in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely. And people laugh at me from the UK when I say it's cold and they ask me how warm it is and I say 16 degrees. They're like, really? That's not cold. Um, but it definitely feels it after you've had a summer here. But yeah, absolutely. The difference is just the bright skies, the blue skies, and being able to still get out and do all the walk. Actually, like winter is such a great time for trail walking and getting up into the Perth Hills and doing all that side of stuff that perhaps you can't really do in the summer because it is just too hot.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely a good thing. Like I love going down there. So you would have went through like Streaky Bay, Stramit Bay, and a few other places in South Australia.
Yes, yeah.
And then you remember, did you guys put your? I remember when I was in Streaky Bay, I actually put my like my little folding camp chairs just in the water, um, and the tide just doesn't come in. Like it just doesn't get deep. It just stays shallow out there for ages. And if you're still enough for a while, you see all the there was heaps of garfish when I was there. They were just like swimming all around. It's beautiful.
Yeah, loads of fishing. Yeah, it was beautiful. And the coastline down there is just stunning. Like it's so rugged and natural. Yeah, it's hard to explain the beauty of it really without seeing it in person. But
It's
yeah,
so
it was one of my
remote, isn't it?
favorites. Yeah, yeah,
Like it's yeah, it's just so remote. I did heaps of surfing down that way, so it was really yeah, it was really good because it was just I don't know, it's like tiny little small towns with just so
yeah.
much to see. And I remember there was heaps of crazy uh blue tongue lizards. Did you come across them?
Yes, yeah.
They were like grumpy as you'd be driving past them and then they'd stop and like sort of sis at you, even in your car. And obviously you couldn't hear them sis, but you'd stop and be like, what's their problem? And you'd look down and they were just brave little things, just sissing at you. They hated it.
Yeah, no, it's funny exploring all the different like and coming across the wildlife, obviously coming from the UK, everything is just a novelty the first time you're here and you're traveling through.
Did you go to Cactus Beach?
No, not I recall.
Okay, there's this beautiful salt. So as you're coming down into it, you've got like a salt lake on one side, so it's pink, and then you've got the other side. It just looks like a photo. Like, well, I probably took a photo, but just it's just awesome. Um, all right, so look, we arrive in. You guys arrive in WA. You're still in the caravan, and at what point did you? So you're now a permanent resident of Australia. Is that correct?
Not yet, actually, Wes. We lodged our PR visa application last May. So it's been just over 12 months. So we're still on the 482 at the moment, whilst we're waiting for the PR to be granted.
Okay, and how long did it take for you to get an invite?
Off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly, but it wasn't that long. I think we got the invite fairly quickly, and then it's all kind of lodged. Again, Adam did a lot of this prep work before we left the UK. Um, so rather than wait in the UK and lodge the PR straight away and wait for it to be granted before we moved here, that's why we came over on the 482, just to kind of get us here, um, with the intention of lodging the PR as soon as we could then thereafter.
Yeah, and how did so? Just for the listeners out there, so what the Taylor, well, what Harriet and their family did was they've come to Australia on a 482, had that pre-prepared, lodged it, done a little bit of travel, which is awesome. Get that over and done with. You know, obviously the plan is to always do that again, but life gets in the way, especially with another baby on the way. So, but then how did you like work it out with the employer? Did you advise your employer that you're going to lodge for permanent residency once you're onshore? Were they fine with that, or were they more like expecting you to sort of be with the company for 2 years and then going down the TRT 186 pathway?
No, so we were completely transparent from the get-go, with the employer, and he knew our background. Adam had told him that we'd ran a lift company in the UK, and yeah, we decided kind of honesty was the best policy moving forward. So we had that open relationship with him, which was really good.
And but how did that conversation go? It's a bit of a tough one. Like, I mean, you don't have to answer these questions, by the way, but I assume that was it worked out that you cover your fees on a 482, they cover their fees, or did they cover a bit of
Yeah.
your fees, or was it just
No,
split down the
we
middle?
covered our fees. So we've covered the fees for the 482 and the 190. So it has been more of a costly way to do things, but it's just what worked for us at the time.
Okay, and I've got to ask this question as well. Like, so when you said before that finding a house was a little bit hard and you were in the caravan, were you referring to finding a rental, or were you buying direct, like buying straight out?
We bought, and we were really fortunate actually because we made it just in the nick of time before they changed the regulations to state that 482 visa holders can't buy an established dwelling as of April last year. So we got in just before that. And you can obviously continue to buy a new build on a 482, but it wasn't for us. We'd kind of found the location that we wanted and the house that we wanted. So yeah, we moved in April last year. It was the Easter holidays that the kids are on school. Yeah, I guess the reason for us wanting to buy for me was because the market here was so crazy at the time with rentals and things. I just wanted that stability with the kids. Like once I got them settled into school, I wanted to be able to know that we weren't going to be moved again after a 6-month lease or a 12-month lease, if the owner changed their mind.
Yeah, it's hard that, isn't it? Moving to a new country, you
Yeah.
want that stability, but you would have had to pay an extra stamp duty. Is that correct?
Yes, we did have to pay additional stamp duty. So again, it was an expensive route, but in our head, we weighed up the cost of that as opposed to renting for 12 months. And it's just, yeah, we decided that was best for us at the time to have that stability.
Harriet, it's so. This is why these podcasts are important, because these are really good questions, and you've done a lot with it. So again, you don't have to answer them, but how did you work it out? Like rent compared to the extra 7%. Was it 7% extra stamp duty that you had to fork out?
Yeah, yeah. The rent for the type of house that we wanted in the area that we wanted, I think would have been about 800 a week.
Okay. Yep.
So we kind of totaled that up over 12 months, and just weighed it up against the house price. Obviously, at the time when we bought last year, the market was crazy in Perth. I mean, it still is good. And we knew that the growth of the house would also outweigh that, like the capital growth on the investment would pay off. So yeah, we hedged our bets, and that's what we went for.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you answering that, because we get that question a lot from clients. Like we've got all of our clients in the one, all of our paid clients in the one Facebook group, and yeah, we get that a lot. It's a really tough one to weigh up. See, for me, I'd probably be in the same situation as you. Going, well, rent money is a little bit dead money if you have got, if you've sold an asset and to come over and to get a property. But that word stability, yeah, definitely makes that decision a bit easier. How did you know where you wanted to buy? Like, what were obviously there's research done back home, was there? But how did you know what area was going to suit you and the family?
Yeah, so we came over on a trip in 2023, late 2023, and we visited. We spent a week and a half in Scarborough, so north of the river, and then we spent a week and a half down in Georgesville, which is down past Mandurah, so quite far south, just to kind of explore the area and see like where we thought we might wanted to live. We always thought in the UK that we were going to live north of the river. But as the time got closer and we started looking at properties and things, we realised actually what we wanted out of a house. So I wanted to be walking distance to the beach. I wanted to be walking distance to a school, and I wanted to have like a little convenience store, like walking distance. So those were kind of like my three criteria that we wanted. And we just weren't finding what we wanted up north of the river, unless we went really far north within our budget. So we ended up settling down in just past Rockingham in Waikiki.
Okay.
Yeah. We spoke to a few different people just to get a good idea of the area. Did our own bit of research online, and yeah, it's always a risk, isn't it, when you haven't lived, because I think you can't really understand and know a place until you live in it, and that's the risk
Yeah.
you take, isn't it, when you buy. But it's touch wood, it's worked out really nicely for us. It's a really friendly area, and everybody's been lovely. Neighbours are nice, and the school's stone's throw away, so that's great with the kids.
Yeah, and it's also hard, isn't it? Like to know when is the, when do you know you made the right choice? Like I think internally you end up knowing. Well, we're in a similar situation when we came back, and I'm really happy with where we live on the peninsula. With the kids schooling, the sporting down here, the way of life, but it is a risk. You don't actually know, and then you think, oh, are we a sort of family that just would settle or be happy with anywhere and make it work? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
that. Do you make
absolutely.
it work, or does it naturally just fall in it? And with Adams, is he still with his employer? The one who offered him the 482?
No, he actually changed employer. So the guy that offered him the 482, he was working with them for just under 12 months. No, sorry, it was about 6 months. Even though it was a great opportunity and they've kept a really good relationship, which is lovely, it just wasn't really working out. They weren't a good fit for each other. So Adam, after kind of a couple of months of really kind of persevering and trying to see it through, as you do, he decided that it just was getting him down, and he wasn't happy with the dynamic. So he approached his employer and left. They left amicably, and like I said, the relationship's good, so we're really grateful for that. And he moved his sponsorship to another employer.
Okay. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So, okay, so but where you're living now, was that easy? Is it sort of like, for your partner's work and everything, is it, location wise, did it still match up?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, that was one of the reasons why he left the first employer, because the offices were up in O'Connor. And even though on the map it doesn't look that far from Waikiki to O'Connor, with the freeways at peak time in the morning with all the traffic lights, it's not very fast. So he
Yeah.
was spending a good hour travel each
Yep.
way. So the job he took after that was a more remote position. They gave him the flexibility to be able to work from home a couple of days a week, and he was on like it was a better mix basically. So it relieved some of that pressure of driving.
I think travel is a big reason why people migrate, like doing the same trip every day for years and years when you're employed, working with a company, etc. You get into that routine. It is a reason why people do migrate, but then it's also a big reason that gets migrants frustrated when they arrive. Did you consider travel? Was travel a thing with you guys? Was it, when looking at this new employer, or doing your research back home, was travel for work a big factor in any decisions?
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, we underestimated it.
Yeah.
We'll hold our hands up there, and like you look on a map, like I say, and you don't think it looks that far, but we definitely underestimated how long it would take to get from here up to where Adam needed to be.
Yeah, yeah, it's always tough, that one, the traveling thing and work and all that. So, all right, well, so we've got the 190 in. We're waiting for the visa to be granted. Hopefully, it's not too far long, but you got your invite and everything. What about qualification wise? You mentioned he can work from home, so I assume he's doing more of a managerial role.
It's a bit hybrid. So he's a lift mechanic. It's like you say, it is tricky. And again, we'll hold our hands up. We didn't fully understand this coming from the UK. So it is worth definitely kind of looking into the licenses over here, because they do differ. Adam did another qualification in the UK. So he already had his level 4, MVQ4 in testing and technician work in the lift industry in the UK. And as I said, we'd ran the company for a good 8 years. So he was definitely well qualified. He undertook an additional MVQ, so he did his MVQ level 3 whilst we were in the UK.
Okay.
But there's no direct comparison here in Australia
No.
for that qualification. So what you'll find here is that to be a fully qualified lift mechanic, as in like the whole package, you have to have your electrical license.
Yes. And
Go on, Wes, sorry.
no, I was gonna. Sorry, I was a bit rude with that, Harriet. This is why I said at the start to the listeners out there. I actually have been doing this for a long time, and lift mechanic is where we've really got to ask lots of questions. So, for the listeners out there, lift mechanic, when you apply for a permanent residency visa or an employer-sponsored visa, you've got to have an occupation on the skilled list. If you go down the employer sponsored pathway and have a UK passport, a skills assessment's not required for a 482. But when you apply for a skills assessment, a skills assessment is required for any permanent residency visa, which is what Harriet's got in. And each occupation has a skills assessing body. Now, as a lift mechanic, that's TRA direct. So for a lift mechanic to qualify, they have to have a relevant qualification and a minimum of 3 years paid work experience pre or post qualification. And that's what Adam had. So Adam's skills assessment for the purpose of migration is paper based. And then the challenge that they have when they arrive, the lift mechanics, is the employer is asking them to get qualifications. So sometimes we have lift mechanics, Harriet, that, as you say, an electrical license is required. And we work with like a few employers that are looking for lift mechanics, and it always comes down to this licensing part where the best way for them to get their license is to hold their electrical registration. But to get the electrical registration in Australia, you have to complete a skills assessment, which is what we deliver for immigration. And that skills assessment, they have to prove they've got domestic experience, which then
Yeah.
has that little bit more trouble. And then they get their, they can get through the skills assessment, they get the OTSR, give that to the regulator, get a provisional license. And then during the gap training, they can then complete, when they're choosing the gap, they can sort of become more of an electrical fitter, which sort of covers both the fitter side, which, hydraulic pumps, motors, and all that, as well as the electrical side working as a fitter. Or what we found was we'd put them through as a fitter general. So when they arrived in Australia, they'd have their Australian qualification as a fitter, and then they could get a restricted electrical license that would appease the employer. So how did you guys get around that one?
Yeah, so it's like you said, it's kind of the easy way to look at it is to separate the mechanical and the electrical side of things. And actually, a lot of the way that the companies do it here is they will put two men in a van, one being a mechanical fitter and the other being an electrician, and they kind of partner them up and work that way. Because ultimately, the work would need to be signed off by a qualified electrician, if dependent obviously on the work that you're doing. There are other obviously lift installation, repair and maintenance, like that covers quite a big scope of work. So there are roles within that you can undertake mechanically without needing to have the electrical license. But then, yeah, the company would cover that by having somebody that could sign it off who is fully qualified.
Yeah, and then that comes for the employers. They're like asking, but if they're not signing it off, it does make it harder. We're like, well, there is no way they can arrive in Australia and get that license. It's a big, people say it's wrong and it's all about making money and all that sort of stuff. But I don't know. I kind of do like the idea that we have, you know, licensed people doing the right jobs. But at the same time, it's just one of those occupations, Harriet, that is really hard. I think if it had been assessed differently. So the challenge that we have is in migration, there's no occupation that falls under electrical fitter. And if there was an occupation that fell under electrical fitter, then it would be outsourced. Like TRA could outsource that, and then we could actually issue that skills assessment where they gain that qualification. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of work. There's been talk about that for a long, long time, for years, but it's very hard for industry to sort of map it out together. So where's he at now then? So what, has he got his license or anything yet?
So he's just undertaken some additional training. He's done a lifting and rigging course. He's done a dogging course, and he's done a working at height course to focus more on like lift removals.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like I said, there are areas of the industry that you can explore and kind of make the most of with what you've got. I think, yeah, it's been frustrating on our part, to be honest, because like in the UK, he's so qualified for what he does and he's really good at what he does. And then you come here and it is a little bit frustrating, to be honest, that you're then sort of expected to get a full electrical license to be able to technically do the work that he was doing in the UK. And it's, yeah, we have butted heads with a few. We've been at a few crossroads, let's put it that way, Wes. It's not been easy. It's definitely been a challenge. And we didn't really understand the full scope of it before we left the UK. So if there are if anybody is listening as a lift mechanic, it's certainly worth doing your research into what further training you would need to do here and how long that would take, and wages as well, because obviously the wages differ if you've got your electrical license or you don't. So it's definitely an area to look into if you're considering it as a lift mechanic moving over.
It's one of those trades, Harriet, that when all our consultants and visa agents, like, oh, there's a lift mechanic, it's like, oh, okay, we've got to really ask the necessary questions to
Mm-hmm.
see if we can get them through.
Yeah,
Because it is easy enough to say, yeah, cool, you've got your skills assessment, that's through TRA, but then then you have to discuss the licensing side and what's there when you get there. And that's why for many people, they might just, as lift mechanics, they might have been advised to go through as an electrician if they've got so maybe Harriet, that electrician or that lift engineer has actually done a bit of domestic electrical work. So we might encourage that person to go as an electrician. So then they get the document they need to get their provisional license prior to
yeah,
arriving. But then if that person, then at the same time, you don't want to set someone up for a fail during the skills assessment. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because it just doesn't seem to be. It's just not. There isn't, obviously in the UK we've got the MVQs specifically in lift maintenance or lift installation, and here there's just not a direct equivalent. So it's just not clear cut.
yeah, they bring apprentices on, and they just put them through electrical school. It's the same as the
Hmm.
plumbing. Like we had lots of plumbers that were just doing duct fitting. Like when if you're ever looking up and you're in a big building and like a
Yeah,
hospital
yeah.
or something, those big metal ducts, and like I was doing trade school like as a plumber, and those people were working as plumbers, and they were asking me questions like, "Can you on the weekend?" A mate asked me for this, and it was like, "You can't do that. You're a third year apprentice." Like, no, I just do duct installation. Like, yeah, but you're coming out with your qualification as a plumber. They didn't learn it. It's anyway. I could talk about this forever, to be honest. It's so frustrating. That's why there is industry, advisory groups that have been set up within the plumbing and the electrical side to help that. Because at the end of the day, there's not too many Adams arriving as lift mechanics, so it's not a
No,
problem the industry has to deal with, but it's a problem for you and
yeah,
your family.
yeah. And I think for us, we're fortunate in the sense that, um, I mean, financially, we were secure coming over, and we'd got a bit of a buffer, and we kind of had that time to navigate a few different situations, and yes, but I think it's well worth doing as much research as you can as to what it's actually like living here under that qualification before you move.
Yeah, totally agree.
Facebook groups, LinkedIn, whatever you can, really, just to actually chat to people that are working in that industry to get a better understanding.
And just to add further comments to that, listeners, it's the regulator. The regulator's the one who's issuing the registration, and then they'll come back and say, "Well, we're not too sure," or actually, you need the OTSR, or you need this, and then they
Hmm.
come back to us, and I'm like, "You need to speak to the regulator because they're the one who's going to issue it. We don't want you paying for a skills assessment if it's not going to lead to anything." So
Yeah, yeah, of course.
it's a bit of a tough one. All right, so we're waiting for the 190 visa. William and Harry, how are they loving Oz? Are they settled now? They got their own little mates and everything.
Yeah, been really lucky with the kids. I think at the age that they were when we moved over, they settled into school really quickly. The school's small, friendly. They can ride their bikes down the road to school, and
I love
I
that.
obviously walk behind them, or they've got the rollerblades on, or whatever it is they want to ride on. Yeah, they settled really well, and everybody sort of said to me, "Oh, what about the kids? They're going to miss everybody and the family and all this and all that." But on the day to day, they don't ever really sit down and say, "Oh, I miss grandma," or "Oh, I miss like auntie." Obviously we talk about family a lot, and we've been really lucky to have family come and visit us a couple of times now, and we've got more visitors lined up, obviously with the new arrival on the way. But they're really happy. I'm really lucky that they've settled in really well, and they're just thriving, spending so much time outdoors, and that was the main reason for us to move here, was to give them more outdoor time.
Yeah, I think that's the big things when we speak to families. It's just that it is all about
Hmm.
the kids. That's what it becomes, and the kids get older, and then it becomes back to ourselves, I guess. But at that point, hopefully, we're not too old, and our bodies can move around and go back and do all those fun things like travel again. So
Yeah.
yeah, like, did you? What about groups and all that? Like, have you got them doing sport? Did you find putting them in sporting groups, or was it just the school community that sort of helped them settle?
A bit of both, really. So before we got the 482 visa, we had arrived in Rockingham in the caravan, and like I said, we were living in the caravan for a month or so before the 482 visa came through. We'd kind of positioned ourselves ready for it to come through and ready for Adam to start work, so we didn't want to venture too far, so that he was kind of here ready to start work as soon as that came through. So we based ourselves in Rockingham, and the kids by that point then were a bit like, "Oh, when are we going to start school?" Because obviously they make friends on the campsites, but campsite friends come and go. So they were keen to kind of start making some friends. So I enrolled them in a local conservation club at Penguin Island Discovery Centre.
Nice.
Yeah, and they did that, and I made a few friends there, and the kids made a few friends, which was nice. And then when they started school, they had the school friends, and then Adam has signed them up to a jiu-jitsu club, so they train jiu-jitsu as well. So it's nice because they've got a few different groups of friends, and obviously with the two ages, I've met moms and parents through Winnie's class and Harry's class. So we've got a nice mix of people, really. We've been really fortunate. Everybody's been really
And
friendly, really welcoming.
and they'll become your social group.
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
naturally
So
happens. They become your social group. Like I think, and with my boys, I've got the three kids and the 10-year-old and the nearly 9-year-old. Every weekend they sleepovers. Either they've been up at one of their mates' houses or whatever, or you finish a basketball game and they're like, "Oh, can you come back to ours?" You're like, "Yep, no worries." And the mums pick them up and it's like, "Oh, let's have a beer," or we're going to catch up. Let's do something different. So it is nice. It is how you sort of I found, even though I'm an Aussie, I still sort of, because I was away from Australia for so long, you rely on those friendships. You probably don't see many of the friends I grew up with as much because of that. You're always with the kids. So just something for the listeners to consider as well. How you feel like the choices and everything that you've made to get to where you are now. Everyone's flourishing. Everyone seems happy. Was there anything that you think you might have done differently?
that's a very good question. Yeah, we are happy and we are really enjoying it here. I don't know if we'll stay here forever. That's kind of my honest answer.
And what's the basis behind that? What are you thinking when you say that?
I think now that we've made the move here and we've kind of had that huge change in lifestyle and we know that we can do it, we're, to be honest, Wes, we're just tempted to do it again, to go and see more of the world. Um, so that plays a part. We've kind of got the bug now for travel and adventure, and we want to get stuck back into that whenever we can. Alongside that, cost of living here is quite high, and I think people are aware of that. I see it a lot on Facebook groups and things, people asking about wages and will it cover this and will it cover that. Cost of living is high. I don't know if it is any higher than the UK because I haven't lived in the UK now for 18 months. So I'm not sure, but that's one factor.
Surely there's a
Yeah.
comparison out there. Do you know what I mean? Like a reliable source, not someone saying, "Oh, it's cheaper in Australia for their own reasons," or "It's cheaper in the UK for their own reasons." I wish there was like a fair comparison guide somewhere out there. I'm sure there is. It'd be interesting to see that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you do make it work as a family. I think it's just worth looking into those side of things so that you can set your expectations. I mean, a lot of the things with the kids are free, so that's a massive bonus. You've got great parks, beaches, like it, there is so much to do with the kids that is very low cost or free. Things like parking is free. So there are pros and cons to both, and we wouldn't change the move for the world. Like we're happy we made the move, and especially that trip we did in the caravan before we settled, that was just incredible. And we do plan to do another one. We plan to do the northern half lap too before we move on, if we do move on anywhere else. But for us now as a family, I think it's just keeping an open mind and moving wherever we feel is best for us at the time.
Yeah, how interesting. And that's the beauty. Like when you do travel Oz and you get around, it's so big. It's so different from state to state. So
Yeah.
different. The lifestyles, obviously the cost of living can be quite high. Like I think traveling at the moment would be, with fuel and that would be probably through the roof. There's probably less people traveling just for that reason alone, surely.
Yeah, I think there has been quite a downturn, hasn't there, with the fuel prices. Yeah, definitely. It would have impacted a lot of families, I think.
But just also like what money goes into small communities and towns as well that rely on it.
Hmm.
Like when we talk about those beautiful places in like South Australia, and as you're traveling around, like there are awesome communities that rely on people visiting, seeing what Australia's got to offer. Like has to offer.
Yeah, and they're such beautiful towns as well, aren't they? Like they've got so much character, and we really enjoyed those little towns, like traveling through more so than the cities and the bigger places.
Yeah, and I think if you're organised and you're a bit of a deep thinker and you've got that will to travel, God, making decisions becomes hard, doesn't it? Of when to do what and, when's the right time? Is it worth staying? Do we stick this out? But I think you've got a really level head about you that those decisions will probably be made easier as you're going through the process. Like you say, if you do travel, the north side of Australia, you'll get a bit more of an idea of where you want to be. What's like, Adam setting up his own business and everything, would that be something you were successful doing that in the UK, would be something that he would look to do in Australia? Would that be a decision that would make you stay longer?
We're not sure, to be honest. Possibly. At the moment, we are of the opinion that we are kind of enjoying life as much as we can, spending as much time with the kids as we can. Growing the business in the UK was really hard. Obviously, it was worth it, and it facilitated our move here, and we learned a lot along the way. But growing a business doesn't come without obviously the stress and the long hours and stuff. So at the moment, we're kind of enjoying taking a bit of a break from that. That's not to say that it's not in our cards in the future. I think once you've done that, you do have a kind of tendency and a motivation and ambition to get back to that. But we're trying to kind of just step back and enjoy the downtime as much as we can for as long as we can before we dive straight into setting something else up and going again.
And it's kind of cool because once the kids and yourself become permanent residents of Australia, you're permanent residents of Australia forever, technically. You know, we've returned to residency visas, a few other visas to get you back in the country if you do spend time away, from Australia. So what you've sort of done is opened your doors up to the kids as well to always have that permanent residency opportunity as well. You
Yeah,
don't
and
stick
that's
out
what
for
it's all
citizenship.
about. Yeah, absolutely. It's just trying to give them as many opportunities as we can as they grow up. Obviously, we don't know, the future is changing at a incredibly fast pace at the moment, and we don't know what it's going to look like for them when they leave school, in
Exactly.
terms of the working world. Or so for us, I think travel is priority, experience, opportunities for the kids. But obviously, you've got to work to pay for that. So
Yeah,
there's
that, that's
a balance to be had.
a massive balance to be had. We don't know this whole. Are you with AI or are you petrified of it? I'm scared of it. All my team are like, oh, you can do this with AI. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't know. People are, yeah. Human error is one thing, but I don't know. I like working with people rather than computers. By the time our kids are older, they've probably got little robots everywhere. Who knows?
Yeah, funny actually. My daughter, she keeps saying about getting robots in the house to do. What did she say the other day? She wanted a robot to do the cleaning. She wanted a robot to do the gardening. I just looked at her thinking, where are you getting all this from?
Yeah.
But she's right. It will be around. Obviously, we've got robot vacuums and things now, haven't we? I'm yet to buy one, but I definitely need one. They're quite popular here.
Now they get stuck everywhere, Harriet. They're annoying.
Oh, do they?
They get stuck everywhere. If you've got carpet, my wife has, anyway, she's always buying carpets and rugs and all that sort of stuff. And when we had it, just kept getting caught. They get stuck on
Getting
wires
stuck.
and they get trapped, unless we got a dodgy one. I don't know. But oh, how good! So, all right, so you've got some plans, and I really appreciate your honesty on that as well. Like, I think this is why the podcasts are good, and I think it's what you know, your intention of joining us on this podcast. Obviously, it's good, nice to tell a story, but was there anything else you want to sort of talk about or bring in before we wind it up?
Yeah, I think just that really was like it's not easy, and I think a lot, us included, like from the position of being in the UK and living in the UK, Australia seems like it is just the best opportunity. And don't get me wrong, it's like I said throughout the podcast episode, like we've thoroughly enjoyed it and we're really happy that we made the move. But I think it is really important to consider all aspects of it, and it's not an easy thing to do. Obviously, you're moving away from family, you're resettling, you've got to kind of set up your friendship base again and your network. And it's something that as a family, if you're a strong unit together and you enjoy the same things and you've kind of got the same goals, that's why it was easy for us, in the sense that we always had that goal in mind of spending more time with the kids and put them at the forefront of our kind of driving force. But I think it's really worth kind of tapping into the reasons why. And yeah, looking at the big picture. I mean, there's so much here to explore, and it really is a beautiful place.
It's
And I
kind of
love being
frustrating.
able
Yeah,
to
it's so
just be
frustrating
on the beach.
because you always hear about the good things, like you say, the beach, the free things for children, the lifestyle, etc., like that. And we know it exists that people return home, but they don't talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, why? I
Yeah,
might do a little podcast. I might see if we can find a few people that would like to come on. Or if you're listening out there and you've made the move home or whatever, love to hear your story of why you did it as well. I think this is the intent of the podcast, isn't it? We're not
yeah,
actually, we don't sell anything. We're just here to talk to the people that have made the move. Like, tell us your thoughts. Tell us what worked, what doesn't work.
yeah, definitely. And I think you said earlier, like you can make the most of anywhere that you are. And I think it's very much that if you're invested in kind of making the most of it and investing your time into the people around you so you can build up that community quickly and have that support network, then absolutely, like it's an amazing place to be. But it's understanding that you've got to put in that work. It doesn't just happen as soon as you set foot here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You got to work on it. So,
Yeah,
well, Harriet, that has been a wonderful podcast. Thank you so much for the time, and good luck with your book, and also good luck with the new arrival.
Thank you.
Have you got an inkling, boy or a girl?
I think it's a boy, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll have Winnie wants a girl, Harry wants a boy. So one of them will be ecstatic, the other one will be in tears.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I remember my boys. They were probably a similar age when we had Jasmine, and it was the same. They wanted a little brother
Oh,
really bad. We haven't told Jasmine this yet. Actually, she's only 3. She won't understand. But then now they just adore her. Like she rules the
oh,
roost.
yeah, I can
Um,
imagine.
she runs our house, that's for sure. But thank you so much, and yeah, all the best with everything. And you're currently still being a business mentor and a coach for who's your target audience for our listeners? Who do you look after? Small businesses, was it?
Yeah, small business owners. So I obviously my experience is in the lift industry, so service based businesses. But I work with I've got a bookkeeper, I've got commercial gas and plumbing. A handful of my clients actually still are in the UK, and it works quite nicely because I do evening calls online at morning time. So I've been able to obviously keep that up with Adam working full time and me jumping on that in the evening here and there. And yeah, the goal is to kind of establish myself here and then take on Australian clients and transition away from evening work into daytime work, which would be great.
Yeah, perfect. Well, again, thank you so much for making the time, and for listeners out there. Hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we'll catch you on the next one. And keep safe, everyone, and look forward to helping you with your journey to Australia. All right, take care, guys.
Thanks so
Bye.
much, Wes.
Very well.
Bye.
Bye, guys.